Nous sommes extrêmement fiers de pouvoir confier la conclusion de cette matinée où nous avons échangé sur les notions de justice et de solidarité climatique, de pouvoir la confier à M. Muhammad Yunus, qui était prix Nobel de la Paix en 2006, qui a eu l'occasion de s'exprimer déjà hier, mais qui nous fait un grand plaisir aujourd'hui de venir conclure notre matinée et sans doute de nous donner des messages pour nous secouer un peu, mais aussi des messages d'espoir de tout ce qu'il a mis en place déjà, lui, au sein de ces différentes activités. Je vous prie d'accueillir M. Muhammad Yunus.
Thank you, Laurence. I'm very delighted that I could attend and listen to all the presentations here. It's an enormous benefit for me. I work in my own way in Bangladesh, which comes up repeatedly in your discussion because we are in the front line of the ecological disaster that we are facing. And this is a country also of climate refugees, which will be created very soon. It's in that direction we're moving. Because it's part of the country, an overall country, and part of the country becomes particularly unlivable. People have to push in a different direction. It's a very densely populated country. It's the most densely populated country in the whole world. So if you have to leave part of the country abandoned, it creates extra pressure on the population and the rest of the country. The density that we have in Bangladesh is also something you can pay attention to. We tell that with 8 billion people on this planet, if all these people, all the world's population, were somehow to be accommodated within the United States, the density that would have created in the United States, our density today is worse than that. So you can imagine how the problem is. So this is the alternative that we have to seek. Bangladesh, that population has to spread around to other countries. And Bangladesh is not only one country which will have this problem. The others don't have much of a population, but their population anyway, all those island countries and so on. So we are very concerned about what happens in that. And we try to address it in a way that we can make it happen. One of the ways that we see to address the problems of the poor people so that they can stay where they are, particularly women. That's how the whole poverty issue and the microcredit thing began with us. We tried to reach out and then reach out to the women so that they can start their own life with a small amount of money. The financial system doesn't work for them. This is one global complaint. So when we talk about creating sustainable life, institutions are done in a very wrong way. And I keep repeating to everybody who would like to listen, I said, poverty is not created by the poor people. Poverty is created by the system that we have built, the institutions that we have built. So one institution which comes very closely is the institution of financial system, banking. And I keep saying that finance is an economic oxygen for people. If you don't connect that oxygen to the people, people become inactive, dysfunctional. The moment you connect with that, suddenly they become alive, active, and enterprising. That's what the financial system does to people. And an amazing thing happens to women too. Suddenly they say they are part of the economy. They are not left out of the system and left out of the economic system. They become very active citizens, productive citizens, economically active in households and so on. So this is one that we have been focusing on. Other one became involved with the problem of kerosene lamps, and we created the whole company called Grameen Energy or Grameen Shakti to bring solar energy in the villages of Bangladesh, and made it a business. but a different kind of business, not to business to make money, but to business to solve problems of the people. And we started selling solar home system, and it picked up. And today, Grameen Shakti alone has more than 2 million households with the solar home system in Bangladesh. And inspired by the examples of Grameen Shakti, many others, NGOs and others came in. Today, in total, we have nearly 4 million homes with solar energy connected with that. The reason I mentioned this particular one is it's so fundamental to human life. It's not because just you have the electricity or light in your home. Suddenly you become part of the world. You get connected. As long as you're in kerosene, not only you're based on fossil fuel, doing harm, and also it's health hazard, it's a fire hazard for the people, for the household. And, but you are isolated. You have no connections whatsoever to the world. But the technology makes it happen today. The moment electricity comes, you are connected to the rest of the world. Suddenly, you are as a part of the global community. And that opens up the door for many things. Grameen Bank has shown me, taught me a lesson that with the financial system changed, available to the poor people, they can become entrepreneurs. So this, now that connectivity has established, that entrepreneurship become much more meaningful, powerful, because you can not only you are locally productive, you are now productive anywhere you want. You can extend yourself to many, many areas of the world. The second generation of Grameen family raised me another question, and I tried to solve that in my own way. The question that I raised myself and tried to solve it, how to send them to school, because the parents, the women who are Grameen Bank borrowers, they are illiterate. They never went to school. Their husbands never went to school. So we wanted to make sure children don't commit the same mistake, not going to school or not miss out the school. So we wanted to make sure all those millions of children, today we have 9 million borrowers in Grameen Bank, so you can imagine how many millions of children. We made sure they went to school. But once they finished schools, and we gave them scholarships, we gave them education loans so that they can go to higher education. They had higher education, but no jobs. So that raised a different question. What is the use of going to school if it's not useful for me? Then I started kind of giving it reverse advice to them. I said, why are you looking for a job? Job is an obsolete idea. It's forget about jobs. Job is not befitting to you. You should tell yourself that I'm not a job seeker, I'm a job creator. And behave like a job creator, think like a job creator. Suddenly it will be different. And they were very nervous. They say, how can you have a job creator? You don't know, even you don't have a job, how can you be a job creator? So I tell them, look at your mother. Your mother joined Grameen Bank some 20 years, 30 years back and had the courage to take a loan of $30, $40 and start a business. And shame on you. You went to school, you went to college, you had your school degrees, and you're telling me that you have no idea how to start a business. Your illiterate mother had that. She had the courage to stand up and say, let me do that. And she did it. Over those 20 years, 30 years, she was repeating this business to make it grow, and that's what you're born. So if your education has taken away that capacity to think independently and be an entrepreneur, throw away that education. Why don't you go back to your mother, learn from your mother, and be a natural human being as your mother is. It was not contaminated by the education. She still retains herself as a real human being, and be what she is, an entrepreneur. So now we are supporting that, is giving financial investments. We create social business venture capital fund so that they can start the business. We say, come up with a business idea, we invest in you. So that changes everything. So entrepreneurship, which is natural, the moment you have the energy issue resolved in a way that's conducive to human beings, you open up the door for entrepreneurship. So that's very fundamental. in the context of all the other issues that we have been facing in the climate change issue. Poverty becomes an enemy of the environment because survival of a person has a highest priority than anything else. They will go and disrupt anything you want because it's a priority is my survival. So survival of a family or a person and the survival of the planet, which has the precedence? Of course, personal survival has the precedence over the global survival or the planet's survival. So people behave that way. This is very natural. We have been involved in Haiti to create social businesses. One of the first things I noticed and felt very sad that the forest in Haiti is disappearing. And this is the first briefing that I got on Haiti as I arrived. And I started asking questions. They said it used to be about 25% coverage during the 1980s. I said, how much is today now? He said less than 2% coverage of forest coverage in Haiti. And what happened to those forests? Oh, people go up the hill, chop the trees, and make charcoal. And they sell in the cities because there are business people who will buy this charcoal from the villages. They will make money on the front in the business sector. So now it's from 25%, it's less than 2% today. I said, how long this one will last? We said probably another 6 to 10 years, this will totally barren because it's still continuing. The process has not stopped. I said, here we are talking about protecting the planet and protecting everything, and merrily we're going around cutting off the trees and so on and so forth. And deforestation is not only phenomenon in Haiti. This is a phenomenon everywhere. In Bangladesh, when the population pressure increases, where do they go? One of the things that the small forestry that we have, this starts shrinking compared to the size of the country and the population. Now we have a new problem. The Rohingya refugees come. Where do they go? They cut off the trees and settle down in those forestry. So survival issue is a very fundamental issue. This is what I'm trying to raise. Unless we figure that out, how to address that issue, nothing will happen. And what kind of world we have today? The world is a very funny world. All the wealth of the world is getting more and more concentrated on fewer and fewer hands. And Oxfam has been telling us every year how few people own how much of the wealth. The last we heard from them was this year in Davos, the 8 people in the world owning more wealth than the bottom half of the population of the entire world. And it will get worse every day, every year. So every day is getting worse. So all the wealth is concentrated in fewer and fewer hands. And bulk of the people are just accessing a tiny fraction of that wealth. So if you have that as a mushroom of wealth, growing, ever-growing mushroom of the wealth, owned by a handful, even less than a handful of people, and the stem that is hanging from this mushroom, which is the wealth owned by 99.9% of the population, and getting thinner and thinner. And if you that the 99.9% of the people have this stem, little shrinking stem, and imagine the bottom 50%, bottom 25% of the people, what they got of the stem. An invisible string probably is hanging for them. So this is the nature of the wealth, nature of the planet we got. We see here is a survival. People want to destroy planet because of survival. There is a greed, which again comes up and do things in a way which is not conducive to the planet. Here they are chopping up the trees, poor people, and the big companies come for the logging and burn up the forest or cut up the forest and continues to do that because they are big companies, big businesses, and so on and so forth. And we just have to watch it happen. We have very little to do. The smoke created in Malaysia and Singapore is the smoke coming from Indonesia. This is parallel to that. Where it is burning of the forest is going on and all this destruction of the forestry is going on. So unless we address this issue, this is a fundamental issue that we are trying to protect the planet, but at the same time we are not protecting the people's life. and not ensuring this way people can participate and be part of that wealth to have them. If this wealth concentration is happening for few people on the planet having all the wealth, and if you look at the geographical distribution of that wealth, probably I would say half a dozen countries. If you take half a dozen of the world countries, probably 99% of the wealth is concentrated in half a dozen countries. So 1% of the wealth probably is distributed for the rest of the world or something like that. So that is a kind of a world which is not only unjust, it is obscene totally. That we are saying that we have to save the world in that situation. So in order to save the world, we have to go to the fundamentals. Fundamentals that we cannot carry on exclusively greed-based economy that we have created. We have to address that issue. And that's where we bring in the idea that we have been promoting and so on. The social business to solve problem rather than make money for ourselves. And I was mentioning about the plastics. Again, another one, plastic is going to destroy us, kill us, because all the plastic ocean that we are creating, more than 8 million tons of plastic waste joining the ocean every year. What do we do with that? So we are trying to address it in a social business way, how to recycle it in a massive way, involving individuals at the bottom level so that they can continue to do that. And I was just mentioning the case of the tires. We have millions and millions of cars and millions of tires which are abandoned every year because you put on a fresh tire, you forget the old tire. Where does the old tire go? Nowhere. So this is another waste hanging around all over the place. And we are trying to create a social business to recycle all the tires, because less than 7% of the tires in the world which has use, remaining is not used, just landfill and everything else. And every year it keeps on growing, no matter what kind of car you are driving, electric or fossil fuel, the tire is the same. So this will be abandoned and this will create that. So how to recycle them? In this, the moment you come into the waste area, you will be amazed how much it is and how we are moving on with the growth of the economy and so on and so forth, forgetting about what a massive waste we're creating, what kind of planet we are expecting out of it. We have to redesign that system of thinking and system of designing of the business to address the issue. The circular economy sounds very funny, but that's the only way. You cannot go on abandoning things in a way, moving on to something else and destroying things and then not moving back again. So this is the address we have to make. We have to redesign the system completely and make sure that obscene wealth concentration can be reversed, so that instead of obscene, it becomes a very healthy distribution so that everybody can have a share in the planet. So instead of greed-based economy, the greed-based civilization, if you can have a human value-based and empathy-based society and civilization for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nothing to add after such a speech anyway. So, maintenant, je vous propose de profiter d'un petit verre, d'un cocktail qui vous est proposé ici. Merci de continuer le combat avec nous. Merci de vous assurer que la transition écologique soit toujours fondamentalement solidaire, sinon elle ne sera pas. Merci.